welcome back, Emma Willmann. Oh, Emma, you're Emma.
Here we go. Let's get crazy.
Oh, Emma.
Okay, so today I'm talking to Beth Stelling. Beth is a comedian, writer, and actress whose Our Special Girl Daddy was recently released on HBO Max. Has a bunch of other credits, originally from Dayton, Ohio, Comedy Wave, Chicago, now in LA. Hi,
You nailed that.
thank you. I appreciate it.
That was like actually one of my favorite intros ever.
Really?
Yeah, because you nailed the most important part, and the most important part.
Which one's the most important one?
Just like this special's out, and
Yeah.
she's from from Dayton, started in
Right.
Chicago. Here we go.
Yeah, totally. This
like
is the first time where I'm going to try to ask you 3 original questions that you haven't been asked before.
That's tough because I just had I did a Zoom yesterday where the person was like, "Are you sick of being asked how you got into comedy?" And I'm like, I mean, to be honest, the information's out there, and
Right.
it's not a rude thing where I'm like, stop asking me this stuff. I don't want to do any more interviews because
Right.
we're all supposed to be. The minute you get a little bit like, whatever you want to call it, I've been asked this before, diva, people drag you, and it's like, well, it's not. You started having to understand. It's not that I think I'm so important and you should know the information. It's that it exists on 72 podcasts.
Totally. 100%. And sometimes I'll even feel like I got I'll be like, if it's something so easy to look up, it just shows like care for the person you're talking to. Like, I care about your time. I didn't realize that your special was coming out right when I asked too. So you've been doing like a real blitz.
Yes. And I think sometimes too, it's like, I go in between, like, of course I'm thankful to be going on. And like when you asked, I was like, that's so nice, even though you didn't know it was like the special.
Right.
So any help I can get with getting the word out is good. When you're not
Amen.
a famous person, you want people to watch your special. But sometimes it feels like the people who want to share it are mostly like your friends and people that care about you.
Oh yeah. I just did a video blog, which means I'm like really grasping at straws. Like, isn't that bad? A vlog. That's bad. Is that like so bad?
No, are you
Pretty
kidding
bad.
me?
A vlog. And I like hashtagged it. I'm not gonna hate the interview you did where you were out in the porch and you guys were talking about promoting yourself and doing that. I'm not good about that either at all. So, but I did a vlog, and I just posted it, and I wrote to a bunch of people and was like, "Can you watch it? I'm trying to get it in the algorithm." That was like my first go at doing that.
Yeah, I mean it's a wild world we're in.
It's a wild world
in general, let alone what we're entering when it comes to stand-up comedy and pandemic.
Right.
I'm like over here ready to just be like, I'll sit this one out, see what happens.
We have to sit it out.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah, not everybody is.
True. I didn't miss stand-up comedy either at all when it stopped. I don't know. Yeah.
Not at all.
I didn't.
But
I
also,
mean, I felt relief even.
Yeah, I was so relieved because, like, when do you get a break? You don't get a break. The minute you start in stand-up, it's a battle of like losing. Like, to me, it was at least. I actually haven't talked about this before, but it's I felt like it's the battle of living in the present and not caring and just like letting it be versus I don't want to be this person, which is why it's hard to like admit, which is like always mining for material. I think there's layers. I think there's levels of it for sure. There's people who seek experiences to write about them. Like, let's go to the strip club. Let's do this. Let's go jet skiing. Like, there's that. And then there's the idea that you're living life and always being like, wait, let me write that down. And I never wanted to be that person. It bothered me. But then it also would hinder me. Because like, I would admire comics who'd be like, oh, sorry, one sec. How did I say that? Like if they made someone laugh in conversation, and it's like I hated it, and at the same time I respected it because at that point early I wasn't able to do it because I like being and feeling genuine in life. So
I would feel that when people would you feel it when people would videotape themselves? Because I always felt weird videotaping because I was like, oh, I don't want the audience to feel weird that I'm videotaping, like they give a fuck. But I would always, would you videotape yourself? Are you good about that?
No, I always, every set I've done is probably voice memoed.
Me too. And then I don't usually listen.
Never listen. Yeah.
Never listen. I
mean,
was going to, but
it's also not something you can outsource. I mean, potentially you could, but no. Like if someone knew you really well and they're like, hey, you added this line, but that's somebody
amazing.
That would be like you have to have a partner in comedy that is like your writer or something, and obviously we don't have that. I mean,
That would
our
be
grade, I'm saying like we're not famous enough to be like, I have to put out a new hour. Who's my team of writers?
I would personally love that. Like I would have no I would love and I would great. That'd be a dream to have, you know.
To me, I don't like it.
I would love.
I like I'll take tags from people I trust.
Well, you're
But that's
also like you're a great writer. Some of those lines in your special, those were like fucking boom boom. You know,
Thank you.
like it's so much easier when someone else brings it up.
Yeah.
Like the legal system, or as I like to call it, the white man's FUBU. That's like a good line.
Thank you, Emma.
Were you so pumped at yourself after you thought of that, or did you not even think of it? Probably not. I'm sure you weren't. I'm sure you were.
I remember thinking of it and thinking, is this reference gonna hit with like everyone? Meaning, you know, FUBU is more my generation.
Right.
Like it's not outdated; it still exists. But you know, it's in a frame of time that maybe not everybody would. So that was my first thought was relevance, and then my second thought was. I don't know. The minute I did it in Chicago, a guy, I wish I could remember his name. It was a dude on the show with me at Chicago Underground. He came up to me and he was like, fuck you. I wish I thought of that.
Yeah. You're like,
yeah. Which is always like the best compliment comments
the
to
best.
each other.
Yeah, when someone's annoyed and you're like.
Yeah, they're like, fuck you for thinking of that.
Right. To set the scene for the questions. Okay. Just to get them a little bit. I was wondering, what were you like in high school? I know you were a good student. Were you outgoing? Like, what was your, like, was it a big school? What was your friend group like?
So I in high school, so I guess it would help to explain the way it was set up.
Please.
So elementary school was kindergarten through 6th, K through 6th. And then our high school encapsulated grades 7 through 12.
Was it big?
No. We probably had about, I don't want to get this wrong, 160 a class-ish,
Okay.
I think. Maybe I'm getting
It's
my
not
weight back then
tiny.
confused with the amount of students we had.
Right.
But yeah, not tiny, not like we've heard of classes of 20 and, you know, like something extremely small. But also a neighboring school of ours had graduating classes of 1,000.
Sure.
You know, or more. So, and they didn't even know some people who were in their class.
Right.
So that was not our case. But, you know, this is as a side note, and it didn't really affect me necessarily as much as it did my friends, but you have 7th graders around seniors.
Right.
And that's going to create some disgusting problems. So, but also I had older sisters. So when I was in 8th grade, my sister was a senior and my other sister was a sophomore. So I got to be like in 8th grade. I remember the senior guys decorated my locker because my sister told them to. So I always had that little sister, like feeling special. Right. Like I was lucky, you know, I wasn't ridiculed or anything like that. The things that I got made fun of back then were just having no tits because I was a gymnast. So it would be like, if I suffered any sort of, you know, teasing or something, which I think most people do, not everybody, but most, it would have been for that. Like I remember a guy asking me out and I said no or something, and he was like, well, you're flat anyway. It's like, what a fun lesson to learn as a kid, you know? Like,
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, the minute you say no, you will be punished based off your physical appearance.
Were you more were you athletic, or your friend group that? Were they more like?
So okay, my friend group, it's like I was a gymnast and I played field hockey because my older sisters played field hockey.
Yep.
I'm trying. So the reason I brought up the, you know, division of grades and stuff is because I guess I'm trying to think, going into junior high, you're
access
scared.
to older kids then too.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had a stepsister, Anya, and my dad, like, he met this woman, they got married really quick, and then she was a senior when I was in 8th grade, and she was so cool. She was like, I was in rural Maine, but she was so pretty, she was so cool, and she would like, I mean, this doesn't sound cool now, but we would like get beer. It doesn't, smoke cigarettes. But so then I would see her friends. So then when I got to high school, the people that were a grade below her that probably wanted her to like them because of the politics, they'd be like, oh, Anya's little sister. And she was so pretty she's pretty for rural Maine.
Gorgeous.
shut it down.
Model level.
Stunning. Like, and I remember I would always feel kind of weird about that at home because like I wouldn't want. She'd be like, "You can come in," where she'd be like in the shower. She'd like, "We can talk," and I'd be, I didn't know, but I was like, "No, like, you make me feel kind of weird." But so I know
and
that
it would have been okay because she was a step.
Right. It would have been okay. It would have been okay. I didn't identify it at the time, but I always remember her being like, "You can come in." I'm just like getting out of the shower, and I was like, "No! Why would we do that? That's crazy. I love you." So there's a lot of angst going on.
That's amazing. Yeah, so you get it. Like it's just, even if it
gives you a little access.
It's a little access. It's
built-in cool.
Just within reach.
Mm-hmm.
And my sisters were cool. My oldest sister was the field hockey captain.
Nice.
And my middle sister was the homecoming queen. Like
nice.
Hannah, our middle sister, was the epitome of a homecoming queen, like crushing everybody. So there's that a little level of that. Like, will you be as cool or as hot as your sister?
Right.
I mean, there's that. But never to the point where I felt like ugly duckling or something like that. But
were you into academics? Were you like, I'm going to do this so I can get into a really good school? Or was that not part of your thinking?
I definitely was a good student. Like I had that drive as a kid to get, our grades were in elementary school, like U for unacceptable, S for satisfactory, S plus, S minus, and then O for outstanding. And like I prided myself on straight O's.
Okay.
Yeah. But then ABC happened later.
Okay.
And I still it was like I was class clown, but type A, like organized. Because I was voted, my superlative was class clown senior year and most likely to be famous and best smile. Like I got those, like those were I love how I remember them.
Of course. You tell yourself that every goddamn day. That those were your superlatives. That's how I would like start. That'd be in my dating profile. Maybe not. That wouldn't work out so well. But yeah, those are banging ones.
Yeah, they ruled. So that's like that kind of. And I'm trying to remember my GPA, but it was good. Like I was a good student. I still dicked around. I barely made it through AP Bio. In fact, my AP Bio teacher reached out to me recently. I was like, I like your specials. You're great. We're so proud of you. And I was like, thanks for passing me. And we both knew I didn't deserve it.
Right.
Like, so the minute I pushed a little higher to like, because I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian or something like that, I didn't have like the drive or focus to do it. Like I could get by and get good grades, but I didn't come out with incredible SAT scores or ACT. It wasn't like, I wasn't some sort of...
Were you gunning for it when you did do the SAT? Were you like, I gotta get it? Didn't care?
I tried, but I wish I could remember what I got.
Oh.
It wasn't above a 1200. You know what I mean? It wasn't like... I had so my friend group became people that were smarter than me. They were better students. Like my friend Caitlin now lives in like Cartagena and is a English teacher. Like she's brilliant.
Nice.
Like she was in my French class, but I just mean like my friends were always like great students, good people. That's what I grew with. But early 7th and 8th grade, I was friends with a group of girls that were a little more troublemakers, like sleeping with the older guys. And I mean, I was scared because I had no tits, so I couldn't let that be known. I was, hiding under my mom's water bra.
Did you stuff your bra?
I stole my mom's water bra. Dang. And I would wear that. And
you just gave me flashbacks. I stuffed my bra. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, boobs are a thing.
Yeah.
You would want it so bad, and there's literally nothing you can do to make it happen. I guess
then you had big boobs if you put your mom's water bra on.
Yeah, I went from like 0 to nothing. That made no sense. And then I had a boyfriend who was older. I dated when I was a freshman. I had a junior boyfriend. Nice. And like obviously he found out.
Right.
But okay, so I guess the friend groups, it went from like kind of wild girls and stuff early 7th and 8th grade, and we would drink and we would go to University of Dayton and get in trouble. We were arrested. Damn. I mean, by campus cops, so it's not like it was that bad, but we shouldn't have been down there. Right. And then it's like it's not like I reformed and I got in trouble. It was just more, then I remember our superintendent speaking at graduation, and she kind of said something about everyone. That's how small our class was, able to do that. And she was like, and Beth went from, I can't remember the exact sentence, but she was like, went from the stage to the field to the whatever. Like she just said, I was basically kind of did a lot of things.
She put it in a nice, that's nice.
Yeah, she was very kind. So I was a field hockey captain with my friend Juliet. And we went to state for the first time in something like 16 years. Like
that's
our team
awesome.
was great. And then I did speech and debate, and I went to nationals for several years in a row. I was in the humorous category, so she was talking about that. And I did the musicals. I was always the funny character. So then I decided to go away and do theater, I guess, at Miami, even though it wasn't a theater school. It was just a school in Ohio.
And when you were doing all this stuff, how often were you going to see your dad? Were you like going there in the summer, or would that break things?
We would have to go for a month in the summer, but
so
then
that breaks up the flow.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, it sucks to leave. There's movies about it. Kids having to leave their friends and move or go somewhere for the summer. Yeah.
Fucks you up.
And as a kid, especially, back when I was younger, I would be there for so long. I would get confused. I'd come back and accidentally call my mom dad or my dad mom. It was just, and the world couldn't have been more different. Ohio to Florida.
Sure.
I mean, and their worlds, that the people, like, just like meeting my parents and who they surrounded themselves with, just such different people. So I don't know. I think, I guess, like, that was tough for sure, splitting the time, I
really
what
tough.
I was gonna say.
Did you feel like you had to defend your dad to your mom and your mom to your dad? My parents had an awful divorce, but I lived with my dad and my sister lived with our mom. Then my brother lived with his mom, but my dad and mom were in the same town. And I just lived with my dad, so I see my mom sometimes. And now my mom and I are really close, but it was...
And are you still as close with your dad or no?
So close.
Okay, so you're very close with your dad, and now you're a little closer with your mom.
Now I'm super close with my mom, too. But what happened was and my mom, I don't quite know the right way to say this, but she's like more inclined, naturally a parent. My mom's like kind of a better parent.
Caregiver type.
She is. My dad's better. He's got like better boundaries, and I guess maybe they both have their strengths and their weaknesses. I'll say it like that. But my mom got cancer, and then we went on a trip together, and that's when we got close again. But we didn't talk for a while. But leaving, I think, would be really like jarring, because you're leaving your friends. That's what I'd be more worried about than my parents.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's like, I forget where my mind was going, but it's interesting you brought that up, because it was tough, and I would go down and have like, yeah, you're just missing time. A month is kind of nothing, but when it's your whole summer, and I didn't have friends down there, and then eventually my sisters got older, and I didn't have to go repeatedly a bunch by myself, but we never wanted to go alone. Right. Like, spend a month in Orlando alone without your sisters, like, because there's definitely some really fun times, absolutely. But you saw in my special, like, that's tough, like that, like weird times where my dad is being a pirate at a putt-putt place and we're golfing, and then we'd go mini golfing. Like, my dad was kind of trying to do the whole, like, with me it's a party. Right. I'm the cool parent. Yeah. And he would I know what I thought of. It was like, is the word cachet, that my dad lived down there, so I would get girlfriends on spring break. So you brought up summer. Thank God I thought of it. Yes. But I was able to bring some of my girlfriends from Ohio to Orlando for spring break. So that's fun. And my sisters would do it too. And my dad would let us get away with anything. I mean, he'd buy us beer. We'd get things pierced. My mom was furious. Jesus. You know what I mean? So, like, there was that too element of bringing Ohio kids down to Florida and having spring break. Yeah, that's cool. Thank God no one got pregnant. Ooh. I mean, none of us hooked up with dudes, but like, thank God no one got pregnant. Oh, yeah. Thank God. Yeah. I mean, we weren't like finding guys. I just mean, like, thank God nothing horrific happened. Right.
Did you feel angry with your parents? Did you have displaced anger?
If anything, it would have been fear. I mean, my dad was suffering from mental illness, and I didn't see him for a long time. So really, things I talk about in my stand-up too, it's like, in a lot of ways, you get a lot of me and you see so much of what I'm sharing, and in some ways it's just scratching the surface, especially when it comes to, like, my family. So yeah, there was more fear with that, going to visit my dad again, and the fact that I could go off on this stuff forever, but that it was court ordered, that my mom wasn't able to fight it and didn't want to keep him from us. She was never like that either. And then arguably you look back and everyone's doing the best they can, and my mom never talked negatively about my dad, but in some ways you're kind of like, you could have. Sure.
That's big of her that she didn't, though. My parents used to bash each other constantly.
Right. So it's kind of like, I worry about my sister's kids because, like, I talk about it again in my special. And so it's like, I want them to, because I've been angry with my sister's husband, and I would never say anything to the kids. Like, yes, it's in my special, and they might see it someday,
Right.
but I would never. But they're children now, so
Right.
they're not watching my special, and I am angry. But I have to know that I knew, and they'll figure it out too. And hopefully their dad changes. It's tough because I didn't have a choice
Right.
to go see my dad, and I can't say I should have been given a choice because I was a kid.
Right.
So then it would have been on me maybe, and I made a bad decision, and then I would have different problems. But the fact that we didn't have a choice to go see a man who was mentally ill and violent is odd that the court ruled in favor of him.
How would your mom express her anger? Because my mom would talk shit about my dad because he had an affair, so it was like every other sentence about him with that. So she was like,
I can imagine. And isn't that interesting that see I've had people I've shared and opened up with even about the details of my parents' divorce. Some are understanding and get it, and others have been like, well, how did you talk to your dad? And people has anyone said that to you?
Yeah, that's tough. That's a really tough one. I mean, it's like, it's so complicated when it's a parent. Yes, of course. And my sister didn't talk to my dad for years. So it's just really like seeing them as people. But also then as I've gotten older, like probably around in college, I started meeting people whose parents, but to me, the thing that would be the hardest, which was the parents just like didn't want to be in their life. So no matter what, my parents always really wanted to be in my life, like a lot. But that is where it really, I'm like, oh, I don't even know how, like any great problem or pain I've had with either parent at this point I've brought up.
Yeah.
But if there's like, I
which
know
is
that,
good because, some people aren't even doing that.
Oh,
some
otherwise
people,
it would fuck me up.
I've talked to people who are miserable, like even just dated them for a few weeks that are miserable.
Right.
And I've even suggested and said like, I've asked them, I'm curious about people. I asked them about their child, about their life, and them sharing some tidbits and me being like, well, have you thought about like talking to them about that? No, they wouldn't blankety blank. And it's like, you're not even going to try. And
You're
look,
not even gonna try.
Maybe I don't even know. And they have tried and it went badly.
Sure.
So who am I to judge? I'm just saying I'm giving you credit for the fact that you've been able to even just bring it up with them.
Sure.
Because I've had bad experiences doing that with my dad as a kid, and it ended very badly. And I've had fine experiences about it, but that's still just his perspective.
Right.
I mean, just like stand up. It's like you can listen to me, and that's my perspective. And you can listen to whoever I'm talking about's jokes, and be like, that's his perspective.
It's hard when you're a kid. It really is hard when you're a kid, though, because you have to trust what you're like relating it against. So when you're a kid, you're like, oh, is this? Being an adult makes it a little bit easier.
True.
But it's tricky. For sure.
But you just like, obviously you have that love for your parent that I guess you can't describe. Just I think parent to child love is probably much more, it's different and more intense. I've not been a parent yet, so it's like, but child to parent. If it weren't, it's so powerful that
it's so powerful. It's so powerful.
It's like it's intangible. Because if it weren't as powerful as it was, it wouldn't affect everything, who you choose, who you love, why you love the way you do, your insecurities. Right. So,
Someone said once that the mother is your original audience. They're like, a lot of times people's humor, and I was like, fuck, because my mom's like, tough. My mom's really tough she doesn't like comedy at all. She's like, I don't get it.
I would hate that. Who?
The one comedian, she was like, so I dated this girl once who had dated Tig Notaro for a couple years. Her name's Sasha, but this is like years ago.
Yeah.
Sasha dated Tig years ago. Then I dated Sasha. This is also years ago. And then years later, my mom was like, there is a great comedian, Tig Notaro. And I was like, she is great. I'm glad you like her. But then that's it. That's
funny that she doesn't get you.
No, I like that she likes Tig.
Yeah, I like Tig too.
She's great. She wasn't like,
but you're also great.
Well, I would never ask her if she likes my I would never actually even ask that. Yeah. I mean, she does, she likes, she likes some stuff, but.
Okay. I don't like everything of mine. Come on. It's just
Amen.
we get these time capsules of who we are put online forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's truly a showcase of progress,
Right.
ideally.
Right.
Like, you can see me grow,
Mm-hmm.
again, ideally.
Ideally.
From my perspective.
And now there's so much shit out there that it makes me feel less bad about some of this stuff. Also, I find, at least for me, I'll probably think people are thinking about stuff when people don't really give half one flying ounce of one
Definitely.
fuck. You know?
Definitely.
Okay, this was one of the questions. Okay. Do you okay, all right. When was the first time I'm doing a lot of build up to it. And if you haven't asked it, that's totally okay. Of course, don't feel, no pressure on anything. It really hurts. It doesn't hurt, but it feels so weird to smile because of my face and the Botox. So between those two things, it's really...
I used to love getting dental work done because my face would be numb and I could be like...
Yeah, anyway. Totally.
But it doesn't feel good. I've been there many times.
I don't drink or smoke, so this is like I don't know, it's good to feel... Wait, do you drink or smoke?
It's rare.
Okay.
Like, if anything, like, yeah, I would say occasionally. I'm not I haven't drank alone, I'll tell you that. Like, I've never... I don't have a desire to drink alone. Sometimes I'll be like, should I have a beer with dinner? And I'm like, but then there's no room for, like, the food and dessert. Like, that's where my mind is.
Totally.
So, but then again, I've had sometimes, I don't know if you know Hugh more, like, we'll have a social distance drink on my patio.
That's so nice.
I enjoy doing that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not like an alone drinker that, whatever.
Trying to, like, get out of here.
Yes, I'm an occasional drinker.
When you talk about loving sugar too, but you're not having an addicty personality, so you didn't feel like the sugar was a addiction. It was just for comfort. The line wasn't crossed too hard.
I don't know. Sometimes I worry that I guess what I was going to say, my mind's always a tornado, like a storm. So
Me too.
I could be like, oh God, I'm going to make myself diabetic with my sugar intake.
Mm-hmm.
And then if someone came in and observed me, they'd be like, you're fine. So, but not on the eating disorder level. I'm thankful I've never suffered from anorexia or bulimia. So I've never had that extreme, but I'm not binging, but sometimes I feel like I am. And then I look and it's like, well, you've had half a pint of ice cream. It's okay.
Totally.
Whereas in college, when I was thicker, I would eat like a whole pint of ice cream, no problem. So I just think in my head, I'm thinking it's bigger than it is, but also maybe it is. I worry that I do eat too much sugar. But anyway, I don't think it's an addiction to the point.
I relate to that a lot. I really relate to that. I'm always like I'll do, like, I snorted cocaine once and I was like, I always knew I'd have some kind of issue with drugs and like because I can just picture where it'll go. And then I think that I'm addicted to, like, it's mixing a neurotic personality with something, and then sometimes it's our problem, and then no, and then so many things.
Yeah, it's just a storm in my head. So when you're like, do you think you're addicted to sugar? I'm like, I probably am. Oh my God. Right. I looked up diabetic ketoacidosis, and then I'm like, no, I think I'm okay.
Right. You're like, do you know something I don't know about me? I don't. They can read it on my aura on me. They can see it just because they even asked. Yeah. My doctor asked if I had my breast chance for breast cancer, and I was like, he didn't ask me that before. Like, what the fuck? And then I was like writing my will like the next day. Like, get me the fuck out of here. I can't do this. Okay, so when was the first time? This is 1 3. When was the first time because I'd never heard of this phrase before, first formulated the idea of reverse body dysmorphia?
Oh, let's see. Oh, it's because that what we just talked about dovetails into it perfectly, which is, I talk about this in my special, and I know, like, there's a lot of I don't know, I think more than ever there's more perspectives available online and things to take into consideration.
Sure.
I'm a comic who would much rather help than hurt, so I think when it's like, when I make jokes like that, I have a couple of friends who are life coaches or like, what am I trying to say? Body positive people online and stuff. And it's like, oh, I wonder what they're going to think of those jokes, because my intentions are good, but I do still say this and I don't want to come off as saying fat's negative, because fat is fat. Like, I have fat friends who identify as fat. So it's like
Totally.
there's that again, the storm in my head that's like
I relate to that just 100%. And then also the context of it, or I'll associate, like, my association with weight is me being out of control, feeling out of control, and like I don't have a voice, and eating it to comfort myself, which might not be why someone else is overweight. So when I see them being
right.
overweight, I'm like, if I was like that, it's a very
Yeah.
complicated one.
It is. And even someone saying something like, but because then again, it goes back to the idea that stand-up comedy is from that person's perspective.
Right.
Like you could say, oh, well, this is a lot about Beth and my special or something, and heterosexuality. It's like, did you want me to talk about my non-existent lesbian experience?
Please
like,
tell me someone didn't say that to you, though.
Yeah, somebody did.
No.
And it's like that. It's like it would be wrong for me to
Right.
discuss lesbian activities or feelings that I haven't experienced. I mean, like I have jokes in there, for example, like my girlfriends live here about me humping because my earliest fantasies were about women.
Right.
Like I would see things on TV, breasts and women. So I don't think there was a period of time where I thought, am I gay?
Which is okay to not be gay too. I mean, it should not,
sure.
It's all good.
Yes, but that's the thing. I didn't say my boyfriends live here because at the time to me it was my girlfriend.
Right.
So it's not me making a big swing and saying like, oh look, I'm excited. It's like that's just my truth.
Right. You're not saying it to try to like do more colleges or something. Like my girlfriends who were all, learning our gender identity, which I'm happy to talk about on college shows or whatever.
Right. And I think too, or even later I say like about a marriage bit, which again, sure, you're saying it's heteronormative. It's like, well, I'm talking about my sisters marrying men.
Right.
I don't know what else to tell you. Like, and you could add those caveats. I could say, well, and of course, if you're a woman, you could also. It's like, but that is not how. That's not stand up.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, economy of words and word choice. It's like it all matters. So I could say, and if you're marrying a guy, or maybe you would relate to this if you were a gay man. It's like, well. Again, that's the odd part we're dealing with. So when it comes to this body dysmorphia joke that we're speaking about and the storm in my head, to me, my weight has definitely gone up and down. It definitely plays a part in my self-worth and how I'm perceived. It comes down to the idea that, and I joke about this too, as you watch, it's like, it even relates to, for example, sorry, I'm all over the place right now. I remember drawing a picture of my family when we were young. And that was my family. And then someone said, like, where's your dad? And I'm like, you're supposed to have one? Like, you don't know things until someone says something to you. So so I'm fine. I'm confident. Yeah, I gained weight when I went to my dad's for a month in the summer, my freshman year of high school. And I kind of didn't fucking notice until my field hockey coach's son came up to me and said, my mom told me you got slow. Like, again, that's a kid. He wasn't trying to hurt me. I mean, maybe he was a little shit. I don't know.
Right.
But the point is, it's like, sometimes you don't know things unless they're said to you. I remember sleeping with a guy and him saying, I've never slept with a bigger girl.
Yeah, that's.
And in my head, I thought,
crazy.
What? Like,
No,
I didn't know I was a bigger girl. Like,
no, that's crazy. Everyone would know not to say that.
Right. But
that's crazy.
I just think, and that was in, who knows? I was in my early to mid 20s.
I would have like cried. That would be like, I would have a really hard time.
I forget what I said. I could actually probably message him.
Yeah,
Maybe he doesn't remember. Do you remember what I said? What my comeback was for that?
Right. I bet he doesn't. I bet he's asked that. If he asked that question, I bet he asked other. Like he probably, you know what I mean? That's just like a normal morning for him. What a dick.
But like stuff like that. So it's like, but then, so those things are said to me, and I talk about an ex commenting on, my weight gain or whatever it was, and me eating certain things, and has happened.
Beth, that's nuts, though. Like, as someone who dates women, look, I had a situation. I need to discuss. I had a situation like a couple girlfriends ago. She kept asking if she was gaining weight, and over my dead body would I have said yes? Like I not only did I say no, I put on a show about it. I was like, what?
You look amazing, yeah.
And I told my therapist, and she was like, why are you lying though? Like, why don't you say, hey, look, we'll go to the gym together? And I was like, I don't know what your sexuality is, therapist, but I know that you don't date women now because you don't say that. Like, everybody knows you don't say that. You don't. And
I found too, like, since then I've dated a younger guy, and we're not together right now, but lovely person. And I'm at the point in my life too where I wouldn't ask him that, like, because you're just like, you can know if you gain weight or not, but even when I did in his and I's relationship, like there are ways to make you, I just felt unconditionally loved. And when you're unconditionally loved by that person, this is Gavin, it's like, I would want to feel and be active with him because I felt so accepted. Like there's ways to do it. Like if that person really was worried about your health, I think there's ways to do it.
Totally.
If I had, and so whatever, you hear me joke about it, but it's like, yeah, I gained weight. I was writing and I was emotional. I was going through something.
Right.
And that's how it operates in my body. So there's ways to discuss it. But that being said, even when so getting back to the root of this question,
because I'd never heard that phrase before. The reverse dysmorphia.
Oh yeah. Well, that was just like a joke I came up with because I always think I look good, basically, until told otherwise. And I felt that even through college. I was like, I'm great. I look good. Like I'm always like, I wouldn't have known different unless someone was like, oh, you're fat or you're this or
right.
And so it's the idea that I always think I look good. I have reverse body dysmorphia. And the joke, of course, is, regular body dysmorphia. It's when you think you're fat, but you're actually stupid. And people, of course, then I started adding jokes like, no, you're not stupid, because people don't like that.
Right.
Because you're basically saying like, and then I added the tags, which are, no, there's other reasons, like mothers and being brainwashed by doctor images of other women's. Because that is the root of it. How are we supposed to, there's no way you can't be what's in the magazines, because what's in the magazines isn't real. That's not a real human. In some cases, sure, genetically there are unicorns, Yeah,
but in person, they looked. One of my sister's jobs one summer, I remember she was photo shopping for Victoria's Secret. So her whole job was like, if someone's that tall and thin, then their rib is sticking out and this is sticking out and something's weird and everything's sunken in. So it's all color correcting and correcting that in someone, you know?
And so that presents too, those jokes. I'm making those jokes because of what I've lived and how I feel and all those things. But also the last thing I want to do is make fat be a negative thing. So it's just like,
it's tough. And especially if you're not what society would consider overweight at any point, talking about weight, then sometimes that feels tricky. That can feel really
for us, like right now my face is clear, but it's like when you're talking about, I've had we've both had times where our face is like a beard.
What do you think is harder, being stuck in your body when you're feeling heavy or with the acne?
Acne.
Me too. Oh my God. Because you don't want to look anyone in the eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my acne was, I remember being in public and seeing someone from freaking high school I played hockey with, and I could barely talk to her.
Yep.
So it's relate. Yeah, with weight, I'm also just in a different place now too, where I'm like, this is what it is. And if I wanted to change it, I could, and that's that, but I have, like I said, friends who are fat, and it's like, they identify that way, and it's not negative because it's a descriptor. So in some ways, but we also can't ignore the fact that I was called, we're called flat or fat or this or skinny or too skinny as insults growing up. So it's like, it's loaded.
It's loaded, and it's also how you identify with. I always think about, it's not what you do, it's the reasons behind you do it necessarily. Like, someone could drink a bunch. Like, I had roommates in college that used to do cocaine sometimes, and they were totally fine. They could do it. They weren't the addicty type personality. For me, I would do something, because not cocaine, but something where I'd be like, get me out of here. I hate my life. I want to get obliterated. I want to that's it.
Yeah, escape.
Yeah. So the second one, this was how I was hoping was one of the original ones.
You've been doing great so far.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So for the when you were your words, when you were quote unquote chubby, at and orange at your sister's wedding, did you know you looked orange, or did you only realize it when you saw the photos?
I think we knew it went a little too far. This is before, this was 2005.
Okay.
So spray tanning perhaps wasn't as perfected at the time.
Sure.
Now you can go and have a woman straight up spray your naked body.
I did that before. I've
definitely done it before. She's wonderful at it. Amy at the spray studio on Magnolia.
Holler.
But I think it's I think my sister Hannah and I, went and got sprayed. And it's almost like you booking a role and then shaving your head, and you show up and they're like, what have you done? Do you know what I mean?
You said to shave my head, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. No, it's like we didn't tell you to shave your head.
Right.
We cast you because of your hair, you know.
Right.
And so it's like my sister, our oldest sister, who's getting married. It's like me and my middle sister go and get spray tans, and we show up, and it's kind of like, what have you done?
Right.
I didn't tell you to go get spray tan. I told you to show up in this black dress, you know. So it's like there was like that element to it, and I joke about having like a dark brown upper lip. I'm not a very hairy person, but I do feel like, again, like it's stuck to the peach fuzz on my, like, now you kind of know, you wipe the webs of your fingers and where it might stick to your hair. And so, and again, it wasn't that bad, but it was not great.
It was noticeable. Was your sister bad too?
She wasn't mad, because what is she going to do?
Right.
But it's just like it's almost kind of like when you look back at photos, like I see photos of me in junior high with really strong white eyeshadow, which was very popular at the time. And it's like, why would I do that? It's the same thing with the spray tan. Like, why hours before your sister's wedding?
Well, you did it right before the wedding?
Maybe it was the day before.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
that's
was
a
strong.
big gamble. That's like a big gamble.
Exactly. We weren't thinking.
Right.
I was what, 20? I don't even know. 19, 20? So it's just like, that was not smart. But we still kind of felt okay about it. It felt better to be like too tan than pale.
I did that before prom. I did the fake tan, but I didn't know I was weird tan until I looked at pictures of it later, and I was like, why didn't someone say that I look really, and I think someone did say something, but it was like really bad. Like, it was like streaky and I had like a real pink dress on.
Oh no.
There was a lot going on.
I've had times too, like I've had many times like that, but you're right. How could they tell you when it's irreversible?
True.
Like, what are they going to do? I guess you could powder yourself down or something.
Right.
But it's embarrassing. Like, hey, guess what? You've stained your skin an orange color, and it was a mistake. And you're like, okay.
Did you ever do the tanning where you go in the tanning bed?
Oh yeah, that was definitely more junior high and early high school. It was like, go to the tanning bed. I remember there's probably entries in my diary that like, tan this week, tan and work out. Yeah. And I never did, but it is sad how much of that can consume you. Like, I think I would be bummed if I went back and looked at my diary again. Thankful I never had an eating disorder, but I definitely had a disorder of get in shape. Are you in shape? Get in better shape. Get in shape. So like, that sucks, because it's just like, why are we consumed by that? I wasn't being told that by my mom. Right. Like, I absorbed it somehow.
Same. Yeah, I never thought of that, actually.
The male gaze, the whatever it is, the needing to be attractive, and that means worth and love, I suppose.
I never thought of that, actually, but same, because I never got that from my mom or my dad. So I don't know. And it was maybe a little different, because I wasn't trying to attract the male gaze in the same way, but I was still am actually like so aware of it. I don't even know if it feels like dominant society's gaze of what.
Well, what is power in our industry?
Exactly.
Youth, looks, right, fuckability,
right.
Even if you're the funniest, like, if you're not fuckable, what are you? Like, and that's more in women's terms, because there's some piles of flesh that are famous men that are aging bravely before our very eyes.
Right. So brave.
Yeah.
This is the last one for the original one. This is a tough one, but I would think this is tough, because it's something I've thought about a lot. How do you think your relationship with your dad has affected your romantic relationships? No pressure to answer that if you don't want to.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I just sold a show based off of this, Emma.
You did?
Like, yes.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Our romantic relationships are fully based off of our childhood traumas and relationships with our parents. Yeah. I mean, and differently based on birth order, because
I didn't know
what
about that.
Experienced. Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
You spent, especially, I guess that's even more in relation to trauma. How old were you at the experience of the trauma?
Interesting.
What did you absorb from it?
Interesting.
So,
because my sister's like, I want to get married and have this type of life, but she's totally different from me.
Yeah, of course. And my sisters too. My oldest sister is very much overcorrected. You know, like that. What happened to us will not happen to me, and I will make sure of it. Then there's a middle sister who, I can make my own. I'm not a freaking psychologist. I've just been through enough therapy that I have what I would call maybe a little bit more of an educated guess on why she does what she does, and the conversations we've had with one another that are candid. because I was trying to figure out my thing. Because the longest time I would do long distance relationships and joke, like they can't leave if they're already gone. And, it's the idea that my first long distance relationship was my dad. So, and there's aspects of codependency for me, I think. I don't like coda meetings that didn't really resonate with me, but like I think there's definitely something there that I need to be aware of, and I am aware of, which is this idea of I need to be safe in myself, dependent on myself, know that if there isn't someone out there wanting to be with me, loving me, waiting for me to come back, I'm fine on my own. I don't need that outside love, but at this point in time, like there still is that for sure aspect in my life. And for my middle sister, I would say, I mean, again, I don't want to like diagnose people, but
I think that's very natural too. I think that's like a real common human condition thing of wanting that in your life. I think that can be very, it's like
it's
the
safe.
levels of being,
it's safety right? Or something.
For sure.
But it's not fair either. And I can be like, I would say my last relationship with Gavin is probably, I think my last 2 relationships have been fairly honest, and it didn't mean that what was said was listened to. I think you can say, hey, guess what? This is my pattern. We're watching it happen.
Yep.
It doesn't feel good.
Right.
This is what's happening, and it doesn't mean it's going to change, So I think what would be like, Gavin and I are still close friends, and it's like,
that's nice.
Maybe we would work down the line, but I also am like, this is what's going on. Like at this point in time, we're friends, but you want something more. And we're both getting something from us remaining in touch. I think the healthy move would be, let's cut things off for now and reconnect in the future potentially or something. I think it's like, I don't know. I think you can know your patterns and still be not doing the healthiest choice is, I guess, my point.
I really relate to that because I always am in a relationship for 6 months to 1 year. And because I used to go back and forth with drinking, not drinking, where I would not drink for like 6 months, not drink for a year, then I'd drink for a little bit, and then I would go back. But the amount of time I'd be drinking in between would get shorter and shorter. But each fucking time I'd get out of something would culminate, and then I would get out of the relationship and then start going on dates and then start dating someone right away. And I don't know if do you have ADD? I
was told I had ADHD once I hit college, and I was prescribed Adderall, but I'll tell you what, that's a whole nother story. I couldn't take it. It was like, I was like, I can't take this anymore. I think I'm having a heart attack.
How much did they give you?
I don't even remember.
They probably gave you too much.
It was like time released, and I would basically just stay up and it doesn't make you do the work you're supposed to.
No, that's what people don't understand. I'm like, you're focused. Doesn't mean you're fucking focused on your homework. You could be focused on the computer game you're playing, or literally picking dirt under your nails. Something.
Yes. It just would keep me up.
Right.
And so I ended up selling it.
Yeah.
I mean, not repeatedly, just the rest of it. Like, I'll give you the rest of it for this. Right. And then I was like, I gotta get rid of this stuff.
I read that people with ADHD in relationships can hyperfixate on the beginning of a relationship and like romanticizing it and then get bored. And when I was reading that, I was like, because that there were other things that was in it was called ADHD in relationships, and the things the girl described, I was like, that's what I do.
See, this scares me because it's like, okay, I was told I have that, but I'm over here, I'm telling you, I'm like looking up diabetic ketoacidosis. Like I can read things and be like, oh God, yes, he was that.
Right.
I mean,
that's quite the predicament.
Yeah, where like, so the things you're saying, I'm like, wait, did I really have it, or was I just in college and not paying attention?
Right.
I mean, and I also think too, I probably do and did have it, and then as a kid, I really developed coping mechanisms,
which is good.
And then that having to take Adderall just threw me off. Totally, I have no clue.
It's great if you've got also being able, being in a writer's room and finding jobs and things that are conducive to needing to think quick and lots of different things is a natural way to like do that.
Yeah. And I'm over here, like, I love to procrastinate the work I'm supposed to do with other work.
Me too. Amen.
I mean, I have things I literally care about that I could have been doing all morning. And I didn't.
I get it.
I'm bad at I'm a procrastinator.
I am a total procrastinator. But I mean, being able to like finishing a show to be able to sell it, then that's a big accomplishment because you finished it. Finishing is the toughest part.
I'm in that moment now where it's like I'm like this close. I just have to address notes, and it's like they're easy. It's not even like I could have been given the impossible task of notes, and instead they were like, "Oh, that I can apply those."
Right.
It's like, then do that.
Right. Right. And you're like, well, I got other emotional baggage stuff going on, so don't even. There's like a whole other world about that. Have you talked to your dad about how he's affected your relationships?
It's almost like a little bit of an ongoing process right now. I had a deeper conversation with him about him recently for the first time, and it was actually decently received by him. So Great. I just like let it happen. But I also then was able to consult my mom after it. And it's not like hearing him lie and getting the facts from her. It kind of goes back to perspective where he was not, to me, I think his reality is based off of, I mean, this is getting a little probably too detailed, but it's like his reality. Can be
unreliable narrator sometimes.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's a good way to put it, because what he was going through at the time was not. He wasn't in a present. Right. I don't know what to say it. Like his state wasn't a reliable state to be in to remember things, and he was being very harshly influenced by his father. And so to me, his reality is based off of lies. And there are facts from documents to prove that. So, you know, like, and then again, it goes back to like what we're diagnosed with. My dad will say things like, oh, well, you know, psychology is an inaccurate science. And it's like, well, my mom has a medical document that says you're bipolar. Right. And he'll say, well, I'm not bipolar. So
fake news.
Sure. Right. And it's like, okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I'm open to hearing more from him lately and his side, but I also have to go, okay, and how do I want to share this with my mom? Yes. And I think my mom trusts me enough to know that I would, you know, even if she may be triggered by something, I prepare her for that and say, and we talk about it. We're able to have very candid conversations about that, where she's like, my mom and I relate hard on a lot of things, and have oddly, if learning anything from parents in romantic relationships, I have in a lot of ways recreated my mother's experiences, which is odd. And it's fascinating in a way. It is. Yeah. It really is, because and also seeing it unfold, because kind of when you're in it, obviously, especially before you're aware of the pattern, you don't know that you're in it. It takes, I mean, it probably took me until I was like 32 to be like, no, younger than that, because at a certain point I knew I needed to start almost hiding the patterns from my friends, because I knew if I kind of did certain things, they'd be like, oh, okay, like, are you sure you want to do that? You just did this. So then I would be like spinning it to not get that. And I knew, I was like, okay, at this point I said, this is different. And I've been saying that like 5 times a year for 8 years. So maybe I'm the problem. I don't feel like I'm the problem, but I might be the problem, you know, if I look at it like that. Yes. This is the last one, and this is about your dad too, because he just sounded like such an interesting character. When he said, I'm going to go pro as an actor and I'm going to Orlando, was this out of nowhere, or had he been doing local theater in your area, or what? Like, because that to be like, I'm going to go for an actor and then move from it is like a big thing. Did he have like an interest in acting before that? Right. So that kind of plays back into like some stuff is so spot on, and like, and just a direct result of my personal life and my stand-up. And I would say anything related to my dad is merely scratching the surface. So it's like, with the actor thing, like, of so many different circumstances were happening there. He was basically following his parents down there, who pretty much abandoned him during an extremely dark time. And so it was less about going to pursue acting and more about following his parents down there. Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And he did, though, when he got down there, take improv classes and acting, and got headshots, and, you know, like, so it was less about him leaving us to go pursue acting, and more of a much darker and deeper story, yet still following his parents, who had essentially, in a lot of ways, and, you know, abandoned him. That makes total sense. Yeah. That makes more sense than going there for acting, actually. Yeah, yeah. You know, like that, it does. That sounds more like self-aware than going to be like, that's where I'm going for acting. Because when I saw that, I was like, wow, like either he knows something I don't know, or there's something else was going on, or. Well, you know, there's Universal down there. I think he was in a couple episodes of Swamp Thing, but really is like, I mean, a truck driver. Like, you wouldn't still your face. But yeah. Something. Yeah. So like he was down there trying. Oh. And then, he started his own business, which is a real thing that he's taking a break right now for a knee replacement, but
get back on that grind. Well, thank you so much thank you so much for doing it. And where can people find you online? You've got your podcast, and then go watch Beth's special.
Yes, you can. If you don't want to get HBO Max, you can go to hbomax.com and just get the free trial for a week. But the special is called Girl Daddy. You can find me at bethstelling.com. Beth Stelling on everything.
You know what else is really good on HBO Max?
What?
Love Life. Have you seen that?
No.
It's so fucking good. I watched it to like get ready for a meeting, and I thought I would just watch one episode just to like kind of, I don't know, get it in my head. It's with Anna Kendrick. It's actually it kind of is about what we're talking about. It's about each episode is a different relationship in her life, and it's like it made me think of my relationships differently.
I'll go look at it. It's called Love Life.
And I usually just watch true crime. It was so, I mean, it was like such a cut above the other like scripted shows I've been watching.
Okay, cool.
Really good.
I'm gonna watch it. Written down.
Awesome. I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you, Beth. I appreciate it.